Atlantis Alive, focusing on tracking education.
Welcome to the G Show on Atlantis Alive. Today we have a very special guest in our midst, and she's a jazz vocalist, a composer, and she's also a singer and a writer. And her name is Amy Williams. Welcome to the show, Amy.
Thank you for having me.
Amy, what does Amy short stand for? I know it's a short version. What is...
My actual name is Amina, and it's Ami, not Amy.
Oh, Amy. Ami!
Ami.
Oh, that sounds so amazing. It's
That is
so
why it's
different.
A-M-I instead of A-M-Y.
Yes. So Ami, so different to call you Ami, because I know I used to call you Amy. I used to call her Amy, nonetheless. Ami, you were born in District 6.
Yes.
What was it like in those days with the District 6 growing up years? We know the story of District 6, but what was it like being there?
Well, all I can remember, I left there when I was 6 years old, so I don't have much knowledge of every single thing, but what I can remember is the freedom, playing in the streets, having no safety issues, you know, of who's coming to steal you or anything like that. Everybody was free, everybody loved each other, everybody respected each other. The various religions that were there, the Muslims respected the Christians respected the Muslims,
They all lived
the
in
Hindus,
harmony
they
together.
all lived in harmony together. There was no problems whatsoever.
So,
And then sadly we had to move.
yes,
Yeah.
because of this history in the story.
1976.
1976,
I moved,
that was
yeah.
that big move as well. I remember I was
Yes.
involved at that time. Now, during your years as a youngster in District 6, did you develop somehow a passion for singing? Were you on the staircase on those steps and they said, I'm going to sing? Or did you sing in the shower? Well, how come this singing passion developed?
Well, my mother played the piano and my mother sang.
So you
And
come basically from a background of
Yes.
musicians and musical...
my grandmother as well, my mom's mom as well.
Oh,
And my mom was the cash at the Star Bioscope, and that is
Yes.
where your Tully Peterson and your Jonathan Butlers and
wow.
you
These
know,
are icons we're talking about.
yeah,
now.
this is where they all passed out. You know, so the hub would be the Star Bioscope, because that's where everybody would go to.
Wow.
And then you would hear about it in the house, you
Yes,
know.
yes.
This one is there, that one is there, and it'd always be a full house.
Yes,
and believe you me, if you couldn't sing, the entire community would let you know that you couldn't
that
sing.
was like that close
Rotten tomatoes, rotten eggs, they didn't care, they would
They
throw
would
you with
throw
this.
it at you if you
No,
can't
yeah,
sing.
you can't sing, get off the stage, you know.
Oh my word.
Yeah, and then I have two older brothers also that were, you know, play the guitar, sang as well. So I think it's just all in the family.
Oh, you're so blessed, hey? So when did your singing career start? At which age?
At the age of 12,
Yes.
Professor Darrell Andrews.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
He's a professor of note in the music industry, right?
Yes, he is. Well, I literally grew up in front of him, and whenever I used to walk into his home, he'd have all these papers lying on the floor and the music scores, and then he said to me one day, because when he would play the music,
Yes.
you know, I would sing along,
Yeah.
and he'd say, "How do you know this song?" I said, "My mom plays it in the house, so I know this," but it was pure jazz.
Yes.
Because in the olden days, it was pure jazz. Your Nat King Cole, Sarah Vaughan, it was
Yes.
music like that.
Yes.
And so he said to me, take this cassette, that
Yeah.
time it was the cassette, take this cassette and listen to the song of Patty Austin. And it was Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. And he said, and the next time you come here, I want you to sing the song for me. Which I then did, you know, because I was very keen and went to listen. And my mom obviously knew the song,
Yes.
and I was very involved in school concerts, and I was always chosen to be the lead singer for whichever play. And so I think the bug really hit me when I was, I think at that time it was Standard 3.
Yes.
That is what age is that?
Whatever grade it is right now, we still go
I
back
think
to the
nine
standard.
years old, yeah.
Yeah?
I was chosen to be in the play Beauty and the Beast.
Oh.
And so that was the lead.
So you're taking the lead role
Yes,
as well. Oh,
you
my
know, with the
word.
singing and
you
then
have
from
to
there.
like really sing.
Yes.
Yes.
And then when I went to high school, I was at Alexander Sinton. We also had a concert there, and that is where I was also asked to come and sing. And from there, the actual singing, you know, was in me. When I was 18, I ended up going to see a show, and that is where I was asked to get up on stage because my brother was performing.
Oh my God.
And that is where the bug actually hit me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I mean, you were so fortunate to be in the company of all those icons, Tally Peterson and Daryl Andrews, and wow, it's been amazing for you, you know.
At the time, you don't know.
At the time, you weren't aware.
No, you don't know who they are, you know.
Yes.
You just know Uncle so-and-so and
Yes.
Uncle so-and-so, and you grow up with him.
Yes.
You know, and oh no, he plays the guitar. Oh, and he does that.
That
Oh
wasn't
no,
what
he
you
does
knew.
the District 6 show. Oh
Yes.
no, that's Cats and the Kings.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
so
word.
you hear these things, but you don't think anything of it.
Yes.
So as time goes on, and you come into the music industry,
Wow, who am I
like
with
who am I
here?
sitting with? Yeah, you know, yeah,
Wow.
something
Oh,
like
well.
that.
And as you progressed, you also studied, now again, you as the adult, you studied your
Yes.
BCom and other subjects as well. What was that?
You know, my mother was an educational driller,
Yes?
and there was no such thing as doing music.
Yeah.
And my dad obviously wouldn't allow that. So if you wanted to do any extra mural activities, you can do it,
Yes?
but you're going to study first, and that's it.
Oh, they were wise.
So my mom had this whole thing, you must do BCom, it's accounts, you know, and like, I don't want to do this. Anyway, I ended up doing it. The first year I was like, I really don't want to do this. And so I dropped out of the BCom thing. I said no, and I went to work. And then I got involved with the singing. And so I was singing and working.
But there were also other subjects you studied.
But then,
Yes.
while I was doing this,
Yes.
I ended up working for the Department of Health.
Yes.
And I decided, let me go and study. Let me do this now. And I went to my boss to ask her to sign off my bursary. And she said to me, why do you want to study psychology? Why don't you do BCom industrial psychology? Because then it's, you know, psychology in the workplace. And I don't think your personality is such where you're wanting to sit and listen to
Listen to
people.
some
Yeah.
people, yeah.
You can advise and that, but it will be better for you in the workplace.
Oh, wow.
You know. Also, your focus would be on other areas as well. So
Yes.
maybe, you know, you'd be interested there. And that's how I got involved with the BCom industrial psychology. And yes,
But
she was.
that must have been a plus for you, because look at what you're doing now.
Yes, yes, it was. You know, the interesting part about having psychology as a subject
Yes.
is that in the workplace, even now in the music industry, you get to see people's behavior and you get to see how to deal with them, you get to see who you should mix with, who you shan't mix with, who you can speak to on different levels.
Yes.
And sometimes it becomes a problem when people ask you, so what do you do other than music?
Oh, and then there's
And the minute they hear that, then it's
yes,
like,
it's like
and
a
off they
front
go.
I can't speak to you.
Yeah, even in relationships, you know, it's the same in relationships.
Yes.
They steer away from you completely.
Yeah, because now they think you're gonna psychologically
Yeah, suss
go
them
into the
out.
head and whatever.
Yeah. What do you see about me? What do you pick
Wow.
up? And you know, it's that kind of thing. But I'm not sorry that I went into the field that I went into, because my passion then went to forensic labor law.
That's something different.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You know, that is where you actually,
That's like deeper, right?
yeah, you get to see all the corrupt government employees and, you know, things that we can't speak about now,
Yes.
but it's like
we
that.
steer away from that. We know it's happening.
Yeah.
And not touch
Well, the
that.
outside world would be shocked to know what really goes down, but it's things that we don't speak about, but we deal with it.
Yes.
We make it right,
Fix it.
we remove whatever shouldn't be there, and life goes on. Yeah.
Well, as a jazz vocalist, composer, what inspired you to do jazz,
I
particularly jazz?
Yeah, I remember being invited to a benefit concert for Monty Weber, because I think he had his legs amputated at the time. I didn't know who he was at the time, and I got to this place and everybody was there, all the musicians, all the who knows who, and then they were doing the song Girl from Ipanema, and I was standing there and I was singing it because I know it, you know.
Yes.
So I was singing it, and this gentleman next to me, Englishman, said to me, why don't you get up on stage and join them? And I was like, no, I don't know these cats, you know. He says, just get up, because that's what everybody's doing. So I got up and I sang. But little did I know that he was a full-on jazz pianist,
Oh my word.
and that he had worked throughout his entire lifetime with various vocalists.
Yes.
And to him, jazz was fundamental. And if you're an artist, you cannot say, I'm an R&B singer or Latin American singer or hip-hop or whatever, unless you do jazz. Like you always
That's
say,
so.
yeah.
You know, I work with artists, but I'm not a musician. I'm not in the music industry. I'm only recently doing promoting artists,
Okay.
as singers and various kinds. So I don't know much about that.
Yeah, if you go overseas now
Yes.
and you go into a pub or a club or some venue where there are musicians, you
Yes.
know, they'll always be playing jazz.
Yes, yes.
So if you introduce yourself and you say you're a musician as well, get up on stage and join us. What are we going to do?
Yes.
So they don't know the hip hop and the R&B and what we do here in South Africa.
Yes.
So fundamentally, the international language for music is jazz.
As jazz.
So we're going to get up and we're going to do jazz.
Wow.
You know, it'll always be the summertime and autumn leaves and misty and the way you look tonight. It's all old school.
Yes. Do you know what I like about jazz is when the singers, I used to go to the waterfront and listen to the jazz impromptu performances, you know. What I like is when they can put a little bit in and they pull it to a longer version, you know, the word becomes a longer word. Do you know what I'm saying?
So you mess around with timing.
The
It's
timing.
timing, yeah. And also you interpret it in your own way. You can make the jazz song your own song, even though
That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. I mean, I just said it
you
wrong. but
interpret it in your
interpret it
own
in
way.
your own
Yes.
way.
And scatting, of course, it's come a long, long way. But the way you scat as well is important. You know, you don't. I see here in Cape Town people learn scatting, parrot passion. I've never known to want to do something like that because that is something that comes naturally. You know.
Yes, yes.
And when you're singing.
So now they're going to learn to do that.
Yeah, do do da da do do da, and I was always like, what go down here now, you know? Yeah, because that's something that should come naturally.
You fit it in as you hear the.
Yeah, even if I'm sitting here and I know I have a gig tonight,
Yes.
and I think of my repertoire,
Yeah.
I don't tell myself, okay, that song I'm gonna scat in that song, because I can't do that. It depends on the
Also, don't
vibe.
you feel the crowd?
Feel the
Yeah.
crowd and you feel the vibe of the musicians. And every night they can be playing the same song, but every night it will be a different buzz
Different. Yeah.
because of personality,
Personality.
you know.
Oh.
So it depends on them. If I feel them, and then it will take me there.
Musicians.
That's the way
Singers,
it is.
listen to her. You know, you can get some advice from her. Just one question I want to ask you. You must have had a mentor. Who was a mentor for you?
Jerry Spencer, it was the English gentleman that put me on stage to sing The Girl from Ipanema.
Tell me more about Jerry.
Jerry's from the UK, brilliant, brilliant artist. And through the apartheid years,
Yes.
despite him being, you know, an Englishman, he would take musicians straight into Gugulethu and go into Gugulethu
Yes.
and go and do gigs there. He didn't care what was going down. He never feared authority.
Yes.
He just continued because back in the day, they were not allowed to go and perform in certain areas if you were a different race.
Yes.
And he didn't care, and he took very many musicians here in Cape Town.
Yes.
He took them
To the rural areas.
to where they, yeah.
Yes.
And many of them in terms of where they are today, in the
wow.
jazz fraternity.
Yes.
You know, he's now since left, gone back to the UK, between the UK and Australia, but we're still in contact.
Yes.
And he will still send me music scores, and he'll still say,
Oh,
Amy, I've heard
man.
this song, why don't you sing this song, this is suited for your voice. And you'll do it in this key, because he knows my voice, you know?
Goodness.
And you'll just write the score out and send it to me.
Oh,
and
lucky for you to have such a mentor like
yeah,
that.
and I mean, he's quite an age now, he's almost 90, still
What?
plays. Yeah, Jerry still plays, Jerry
I
still...
wish we could get Jerry on the show.
We need Jerry to get here to South
Yes,
Africa.
yes.
He comes every now and then,
Yeah.
you know, but he's definitely my mentor.
Amy, I must say, you had such a life, eh? If we look at the kind of caliber of people you had encountered with and opportunities that also led to you to advise you on where you are today, I must say, I take my hat off for people like that who's interested in advancing their own talent, you know. But we have some time for a next segment. We will be saying for now, so long, and catch you on the next one on Atlantis Alive with Amy Williams.